João had always believed that dance was an art form that transcended limits. To him, it wasn't just about rehearsed movements, it was a way to express emotions that words couldn't capture. When he and his partner Camila were invited to participate in a competition at the legendary Majestic Theater, they felt it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The Majestic was more than a performance venue. It was an iconic symbol of the city, renowned for its grandeur and the mysterious legends surrounding it. From their first rehearsal, something about the Majestic felt off. The stage was vast, with wooden planks that creaked faintly underfoot, and the heavy red velvet curtains seemed to absorb more light than they reflected. João paused for a moment, observing the shadows cast against the walls. "Doesn't it feel like we're being watched?" he asked Camila. She laughed, trying to hide her unease. "It's just an old theater," she replied. As rehearsals progressed, João began noticing inexplicable occurrences. Footsteps echoing backstage when no one was there, shadows crossing the stage without any apparent source. He tried to ignore these disturbances, chalking them up to pre-show nerves. Camila, less inclined to entertain superstitions, admitted that the venue did feel different. They both decided to focus on their routine and push aside their growing unease. "You want to know where this story is going, don't you? Then before we continue, if you want to help our channel keep bringing amazing stories, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed it, turn on notifications to find out when new videos are posted." On the night of the performance, the Majestic was packed. The audience, dressed in elegant attire, buzzed with anticipation. João and Camila waited nervously backstage, making final adjustments to their costumes. When their names were called, a reverent silence filled the theater. Their footsteps echoed as they walked to the center of the stage. The music began, and the pair moved with flawless precision. Each turn, leap, and step flowed gracefully, as though they were extensions of the music itself. The audience watched, captivated, but as they reached the climax of their choreography, something went wrong. The music abruptly stopped, and an unnatural silence enveloped the theater. João looked around and realized that everyone was frozen. It wasn't just silence, it was as if time itself had stopped. Camila, who had been mid-spin just moments before, was now motionless, her gaze fixed on some unseen point. João tried to call out to her, but no sound left his throat. Looking toward the audience, he noticed something even more unsettling. A shadowy figure, barely discernible, standing in the corner of the stage. Its presence was oppressive, as though it drained the energy from the room. João felt a chill as the figure began to move slowly toward him. Panicked, João descended from the stage and tried to reach the audience. However, they remained frozen as if turned to stone. He ran toward the main doors, only to find them firmly shut. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him. The figure was now at the center of the stage, watching his every move with an intensity that seemed to pierce his soul. Backstage, João found a small room filled with old props and forgotten costumes. Amid the clutter, he discovered a weathered journal. Its pages were faded, but one phrase stood out: "Never interrupt the final performance." The Majestic holds secrets that must not be disturbed. João felt a chill run down his spine. The words seemed like a direct warning, but he didn't know how to restore the balance that had been broken. Returning to the stage, he found the floor covered in a thick mist. The shadowy figure appeared to have grown larger, dominating the space. The expressions on the faces of the audience began to change. Once neutral, they now reflected fear and anguish. João tried to move, but the air was so heavy that each step felt like an immense effort. "You've crossed a line," the figure said, its voice echoing from every corner of the theater. "The majestic is not just a stage. It's a portal to stories that were never meant to be retold." João, his heart pounding, began to dance again, hoping that his movements might undo what had been set into motion. Each step seemed to relieve the oppressive atmosphere slightly, but at a tremendous cost to João's energy. He felt as though he were dancing not just for himself, but for something far greater. The shadowy figure began to recede, and the music gradually returned. The theater's lights flickered before stabilizing. Time seemed to resume. The audience began to stir as though nothing had happened. Camila, now standing beside João, looked at him, confused. "What was that?" she asked, but João had no answers. The crowd erupted into applause, but João could barely hear it. He left the stage without looking back. In the days that followed, João couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He delved into the Majestic's history and learned that, decades ago, a fire during a final performance had claimed the lives of an entire dance company. Since then, rumors had circulated that the theater retained echoes of that tragedy, as though the lost souls were still trapped there. João never returned to the Majestic. He abandoned competitive dance and withdrew from the professional scene, though he kept the journal as a reminder of what he had experienced. Sometimes, late at night, he felt as though he was being watched. The Majestic remained standing, its grandeur intact, but João knew its secrets would stay buried, at least until the next performance. Want to know more about this story and many others we still have to share? Then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every day, a new story comes straight from our mysterious archive, filled with tales and accounts we've gathered from various sources. Cases with stories that will give you chills. Also, don't forget to share this video with that friend of yours who loves a good mystery.